Hey everybody, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm doing this really interesting series and it's called Replacement Singers, Who Did It Better? Next up is Freddie Mercury, Adam Lambert, and Paul Rodgers, all singing for Queen. Now, I know this one's gonna be a little heated, so hang in there, guys. I wanna hear your opinions, but please post respectfully. And we're gonna talk about the criteria that we always talk about what makes them better. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel. That'd be really cool. I just finished getting over 1 million subs. I'd love to get to the next 1 million. I'm not sure how long that'll take. And then I have a singing course. If you're interested in wanting to learn how to sing, or you're already an intermediate singer or advanced singer, it's called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. And we cover all these nuances of how these guys got great at singing. You can find it right here at kentamplinvocalacademy.com, where I also have a free singing forums, or a singers forum, with over 25,000 singers talking about how to get great, okay, at singing. So I want to dive right in. Now, I want to say a few things that I think that are important. We've talked a lot about this criteria of what makes a singer great. And we've said, okay, you know, was the original material only written for the original singer? And it was so unique and so characteristically unique that it would be hard for someone to come in and replace. Absolutely, in Freddie's case. What was their showmanship like? Gonna be really hard to beat Freddie. Did they contribute significantly, creatively to the band after the singer left, the new replacement singer came in, and did they represent the art of that original band's intent and take it to a new level, okay? All these things are important because I think it's the only fair way of evaluating whether or not this who did it better, okay? Now, I'm gonna dive right in, but I also wanna point out some other things. Freddie Mercury rode the wave of just immortalizing him to be the greatest singer that's ever lived, the greatest performer that's ever lived, blah, blah, blah. Some of that's true, but when I call him the greatest performer that's ever lived, there's a lot of really good, great performers. I mean, you know, they're all different, unique, and that's why people are attracted to them, is because they resonate, you know, the audiences resonate with artists differently. When it comes to actual live performance, I like using live performance because there's no doubt that he was an unbelievable songwriter, unbelievable orchestrator, unbelievable producer of his own music and whatnot, and unbelievable showman. But when it comes to where the rubber meets the road, and let's be really honest about it, how well do they really perform without the eulogization of putting them so high on a pedestal that when they do something wrong, everyone ignores it and pretends it doesn't happen, okay? So all these things are really important. Let's just dive right in. Here we go.
Mama, just killed a man, but I got against his head, my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun.
By the way, on Just a Live It Just Begun, right? A lot of times performers will do that because they're out of voice, out of breath, they're saving it up for the next phrase, so they're pacing themselves, etc. And I already get that feeling as I'm coming into this. Now, I know this was Live Aid. I know maybe he couldn't hear himself great because I heard that was true for a lot of artists at this time. They're not in their element. You know, it's kind of a monkey behind the cage in festivals like this because they're getting bands on and off so quick. You don't get your stuff together, and it's just not your performance best because you don't have, it's like you don't have a home field advantage in that sense, okay? So let's continue. Here we go. Okay, so I've seen him do this before. Instead of carry on, right? He ducks the notes and he doesn't get to the notes. And it could be an artistic statement. It could be that he can't really get to the notes. It could be that he's waiting to pace himself for the next phrase, like I've said already. But he did. He ducked a couple notes and he's done it on this section. So he's probably used to doing it that way now because he's maybe tried to hit it a couple times and crack, you know, and it didn't work out. So let's check it out.
Shivers down my spine, body's aching all the time. Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go.
Okay, that was really sketchy. I mean, really sketchy. And again, I'm not here to point out all of Freddie's faults. I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of hate comments. Bring them on. I mean, I'm just got to be honest. Would I say that was an amazing performance? Well, then again, I can't grade everything Freddie did on this one performance here, right? So that's not really fair either. But I've seen enough of his live stuff to know too that, kind of like Robert Plant. I mean, Robert Plant hardly ever hit all the notes, right? At least he's doing this, and he's got so much other charisma going on, and his command of the audience, etc. Like I said, his showmanship. But no, I wouldn't give him high marks for that kind of singing. He's Freddie, that's great, but let's be honest about it. Now, he did it first. He invented it. He composed it. Everything else, it's all Freddie, and he's so unique in doing it. Very hard to match that. But I do need to point these things out along the way because what are we doing? Who did it better, right? All right, let's continue. Here we go. All right, now, the reason I bring up the whole command of the audience thing and I put this section in is, I forget what this wasn't Wembley or whatever, but it was a big, massive, of course it wasn't because it was a different festival. But I want you to hear and watch his command of the audience. Check this out. I mean, he's literally conducting the audience and getting them to do whatever he wants. Now, by the way, for you guys that don't know, this originally he did way early on as an old Harry Belafonte song. I think it was the Banana Boat song, or just it's on the same record just before the Banana Boat song. I think it was written by Lord Burgess or something. But it was Damn! Is that day, 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 oh. Daylight coming, it won't go home. You tell Mr. telling me banana, right? So he kind of stole that, and it's interesting because Lord Burgess actually stole it as a vocal exercise from Caruso. Right, so it's an old piano exercise and an old Caruso vocal exercise. So everybody sort of borrows from everybody else. But anyway, that was the motif, and then he kind of made it his own, changed it up a bit. And he did this often, this exact same shtick at his shows, and had just tremendous command. And people loved it, and they feel like they're singing like Freddie, and he's conducting them and so forth. But so that's the command of the audience.
All right. I just can't handle this thing. Show up. I must get round to it. Ain't ready. Crazy little drama.
Now, again, there's another component to this, and this is going to take a little bit, guys. So if you guys got somewhere else to go or somewhere else to be, I'm not going to rush this in the name of, I got to get this done in 10 minutes because YouTube says so, or I'm going to lose my audience. Go ahead, pause it, come back, get a cup of tea, a beer, whatever you got to do, and go down this journey with me because I think it's going to be worth your time. He's a multi-instrumentalist. Not only is a great singer, a great composer, a great conductor, a great songwriter. I said the composer. Also orchestrator, I meant to say. And he has produced a lot of his stuff, with Roy Thomas Baker early on and other producers along the way. He's a multi-instrumentalist, and there are not a lot of really amazing singers that are, though there are a few. You saw him playing piano, now he's playing guitar, and. So that's pretty crazy. Now, this particular song, I want to bring your attention to something, because John Letted said an interesting quote. He said, before Elvis, there was nothing, okay? Before Elvis, there was nothing. And in this particular case, and in this song and a few other songs, he is sort of, I don't want to say channeling the spirit of Elvis, but a lot of artists from this time that were this age demographic were so heavily influenced by this thing. I call them, I can't handle it. Where's my, I feel like Steve Martin in The Jerk. Trying to find the one. No, sorry. But there's a spirit and an element of Elvis in this. So if you're listening to it, he's got this cool Elvis vibe and he's incorporating all these different styles into his music. Creatively, man, this guy had a lot going on. So I can't just grade him on his singing. I got to bring all these elements in along the way as we're listening to this stuff.
These things curl up, it cries in a cradle all night.
You hear the Elvis?
It drives, shakes all over like a jellyfish. You gotta like it, crazy little girl.
Bring me some bacon, baby.
There goes my baby. She knows all along. She drives me.
I mean, sloppy, right? But there's also an element of being so free in his showmanship that he kind of doesn't really care. I get the feeling he cares, but not that much. He cares about entertaining. He cares about feeling like those 50,000 people out there are 12 of his close best friends in his living room, so to speak. And he's giving that at ease sort of, feeling as you're going through this. It's Freddie, man. Freddie's coming out. Freddie's going to sing for us today, And so there's this family vibe that he brings with him. And so I don't think he holds himself I don't think his main focus is to hold himself as accountable to all the notes exactly like the record, da-da-da. No, there's an ebb and flow. There's a, let's improvise on this one thing over here. Let's do this song differently. Hey, my voice sucks tonight. Let's do it in a different key. He has that spirit about him as he's going through this. Yeah. Elvis, baby. Okay, now, there's another component. How many artists have written a song, not just timeless, that gets played on the radio a lot, that is so anthemic that gets used for virtually every sporting event, every Coliseum convention-y kind of thing? I can only think of a few, right? And this is certainly one of them. This is probably the biggest one maybe of all time. There's a couple here and there, but this would be way, way up the food chain, if not at the very, very top. So not only did he write, I write the songs that make the whole world sing, he also gets the anthems that get Coliseums to, gets major soccer teams to come out on the floor because you wrote something so catchy that we will rock you. And it's such an anthemic thing that can apply to almost anything. Okay, let's continue. Oh, I forgot to add one more thing about this song, is that, to me, ultimate true genius doesn't come only by composing things with a bunch of complicated notes, maybe some beautiful melodies, yes, and there's lots of composers I could list. I don't feel like getting myself in trouble. But I will say that Freddie, on the one hand, could write Bohemian Rhapsody. Yes, I know it was 3 songs. It was over a span of his whole, earlier career that he melded together into one song with Roy Thomas Baker. But I will say that he was also able to write something so simple that was also as catchy. Most complicated composers or minds can't or don't do that. There's either the Beatles where they write something really simple, not saying they didn't have some cool complicated things, but they write something really simple, or there's, again, composers and whatnot. Yes, I tattooed them on my arm, the rock band. There's progressive bands that write things that are really cool, but not simple and catchy like this. So there's another component to this monster composer, right? My sentence, but committed no crime. Hold on. And bad mistakes, I've made a few. Right? You just can sing along with it. Just like it makes me want to sing, doesn't it to you? There's an element to it where I don't know if I grew up with this or whatever, but it makes you want to sing. So not only, again, all these different components, all of a sudden he's engaging me to force me to want to sing his stuff. You know what I mean? Like it makes me want to sing. Not very many pieces do that anymore. There's not a lot of music right now that's doing that.
Bad mistakes, I've made a few. I've hit my share of sad
have a funny joke for you. So anyway, that kind of mistake he made vocally, and then he goes, like he meant to do it. There's an old joke that a doctor never says, oops. A doctor always says, there. Like he meant to do it, a mistake. And that's sort of Freddie, he's got so much charisma, authority, and confidence in what he does. It's sort of there. Okay, I want to move on. I had a couple more pieces that, that I have, and I can't really post all this stuff because he has a lot of great stuff and it's going to take a long time, but I got to get to Adam Lambert. And before I get to Adam Lambert, I'm going to make a audacious comment. I'm sorry, I have to make it. Again, we are talking about a guy that steps into Freddie's spot, very difficult to do. So I remember one time at Juilliard, there was this professor there who made this comment, and he said, if you see all these composers on the wall, right? It was Liszt and Brahms and Beethoven and Prokofiev and all these amazing guys. He says, if we can just get to 1% of their greatness, I'll have done my job. And I'm like, really? Okay, I guess that means that we're never allowed to be unique and to compose on our own and whatever. So, but it could be said that if Adam could just get to 10% of Freddie's greatness, then the world's a happy place. Okay, so I've got to just kind of start there because stepping in Freddie's shoes, it's just incredibly difficult to do. But I also have to go back to our very first prerequisites of, did someone do it better? Okay. And did they come in out of nowhere? Well, he kind of did, but he came in off American Idol, didn't win. That was interesting. He didn't even win, yet he's not good enough to be the winner of American Idol, but he's good enough to sing for Queen. That's kind of weird. Okay. Second, how long did he last? I think he's been in the band over 10 years. So he's been in the band a while. So he's kind of satisfying a couple of these things. He came in out of nowhere. Amazing to do that. Not come from another well-known band and already have all this charisma and stuff that you bring to the table, your own audience, and you kind of morph or meld this in together, synergizing together with a known band. So he's 10 years, right? Third thing is there was more than three things. Sorry. Third thing is he not only lasted, but did he contribute significantly creatively to the band? I'd have to say no. I'd say no, that he did not do that. Did he outperform him as an artist? Let's take a look. Oops, sorry.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone. And another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Hey, I'm gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust. Oh yeah. Been singing with my band across the water.
So far, no, I don't think it's all that. I know a lot of people have seen him live. I've seen him a couple times, never live myself personally, but I've seen some footage of live stuff and heard some live stuff. I don't think that was as good as Freddie, guys. Even though Freddie's cracks and carbuncles and stuff. Now, he's maybe more spot on the actual note value. I think his voice is kind of whiny and thin as he goes up top. I know he does a lot of other runs that are maybe more difficult than Freddie. And then one of the things I gotta say that's a pet peeve of mine, I don't care about your sexual preference. Your thing is your thing. That's fine. Do your thing. I have my thing. You do your thing. But I think that to play it up so much to where it's kind of the shtick, I don't think Freddie would have wanted to do that. Now you say, well, wait a minute, Ken, the very name of the band is Queen. I'm not going to get into some pissing contest about sexuality. I'm just saying that, I just think it's kind of unnecessary to do it. Just show your talent and do something. Because, when I think of a singer like Mark Martel, you guys know who that is, I think Mark would have done a better job as a singer. Now, I don't know if he'd have done a better job as a showman, but I do believe for sure that he would have done a better job singing like Freddie than Adam has done. Though Adam, again, in his defense, has lasted a really long time. He's really consistent with his performances, etc. But is he Freddie? Let's continue to take a look.
I've seen every blue-eyed bluesy all the way, but their beauty and the style were kind of smooth after a while. Take me to them naughty ladies every time. Come on, sing it! Won't you take me home tonight? Oh, down
Okay, before I get into this next thing, also in Adam's defense, the band seems really lackluster and like old men playing. And I love Brian May, one of my favorite guitar players. I love the whole band, but I feel like they're punching a clock. I don't feel like there's that fire and enthusiasm and excitement for life, excitement for music, excitement for the audience. It's sort of like, okay, we're Queen and we've got a new singer and we're playing shows. So in his defense too, I don't feel like he's getting the full benefit of an energetic, excited band that everyone's excited to do it and they're new and fresh and hungry. I just don't get that. So, all right, let's continue after this. Here we go, sorry.
Pretty cabinet, let them eat cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette. A built-in remedy for Khrushchev and Kennedy. At any time, an invitation you can decline.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna get back to this playing this up part again. Would Freddie have done that? Like, the class of the band for me has always been incredible virtuosity, incredible compositions, incredible storytelling. It's actually a story about, a high-paid hooker, and so forth. Killer Queen. So as I'm looking at this storytelling and Bohemian Rhapsody and all these amazing songs, We Will Rock You, we just heard and whatnot, this is a little, I don't know, college performance for me. It doesn't strike me with the same panache and the same authority, and rock band is even also a better way to say it, as what I believed Queen's intent was originally.
Orange cigarettes, well lost in etiquette, extraordinarily nice. She's a killer queen, gunpowder gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. Recommended at the price.
Okay, I'm already bored, and I guess I just want to see someone with a Telecaster or a Les Paul or a Stratocaster down here just doing a couple of these rather than a couple of these. Personally, it's just not rock and roll for me, and I'm gonna fast forward just because I'm already bored. And I'm trying to get as much benefit of the doubt, but it's just me. It's my opinion, and it's just not rock and roll.
So don't stop me now. Yeah. Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. Gravity, I'm a racing car passing by, Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, whoa, there's no stopping me. I'm running through the sky, yeah, 200 degrees, that's why they call me Mr. Fahrenheit. I'm traveling at the speed of light, I wanna make a supersonic man out of you. Don't stop me now, having such a good.
Again, it's just kind of lackluster. Don't you guys sort of feel like this, like, just there's no energy in it? You know what I mean? It's weird.
I'm having a ball. Don't stop me now. If you wanna have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me now.
He's hitting all the notes.
Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. I don't wanna stop it at all. I'm a rocket ship on my way to Mars. I'm a sex machine ready to reload. Like an atom bomb, I'm gonna go, whoa, explode.
Okay, now let's be honest, guys. Come on, let's be really honest. He's jacking off at the microphone stand, and now he's jacking off and he's gonna explode all over poor Brian May, who's looking at him going, "Don't explode on me, pal," right? And again, everyone can have their shtick, and maybe I'm out of place saying, hey, that's his artistic right to be able to do that. It just brings Queen down by about 5 notches from the class act that Queen is. So I'm kind of done with him here, and I even had a lot more footage of him, but I'm just kind of grossed out. It's just not. Now, by the way, you can say, Ken, rock and roll, what do you think rock and roll means by definition? Gene Simmons, hey, moron, by definition, rock and roll is, yeah, I know, rock and roll is a sexual act. I get it, but it just brings the band bit down. It just doesn't, he doesn't do it for me, straight up. He's a good singer. Is he Freddie Mercury? I don't even think close. Now, I know that there was an argument, and I've said this before, about Freddie and Brian May, and there was this debate that went on, and Freddie says to Brian May, look, I know Paul Rogers, right? Because at the time, Bad Company was bigger than when Queen first started, and so they were kind of like looking up at Bad Company, believe it or not, as the band to beat, or a band to beat, because there was a lot of really good bands back there. And so if I ever die, you should get Paul Rogers to do the gig. There was a sort of comment, and my understanding is that's sort of what the impetus that brought Paul Rogers in. Now, let's take a listen to this here. We're getting past... Okay, let me, sorry. That's not Paul Rogers. Here's Paul Rogers. There we go. Sorry. At the end here. Here we go. What do you immediately experience right now? Get your body down and get your queen low. You've got, now again, in fairness, and I know this is a long one, guys. I know you're going to hang with me. You probably already clicked off by now, but you that stayed, maybe this would be worth it for you to hear. Consummate professionalism, consummate mature singer. Yes, he came from Bad Company, so he did come from a pre-established band with his own following. I get all that. Very popular, one of my all-time favorite singers. But his command and authority, his quality of singing, his quality of everything is just brought the band... Right? Now, what were the criteria? What's the criteria? Did the replacement singer contribute anything new? No, actually he didn't. Did the replacement singer come in and at least foot the bill, or you know, pull it off in a live situation like Sammy Hagar did when he replaced David Lee Roth? Abso-dang-lutely. Check this out.
Your mama says you don't, and your daddy says you won't, and I'm boiling up inside. There's no way I'm gonna lose out this time.
This time!
Tie your mother down, tie your mother down. Lock your daddy out the door, I don't need a nosing around. Tie your mother down, tie your mother down. Give me all your love tonight.
Night! He's just got that command, you know, that voice. Ah!
I want to break free. I want to break free.
Now, I have to say this because I brought up the sexuality comment. I gotta shoot myself in the head and in the foot. Paul, he couldn't sound effeminate if he wanted to. I mean, I want to break free. Yeah, yeah. You know, he's just a man's man. And he comes out and he is probably the exact polar opposite from a stage persona, from a, you know, just a personality as Freddie. Let's forget about Adam for a minute. As Freddie, okay? Because it's really all about Freddie. It's not about necessarily Adam. And in this case, you gotta listen to this. It's epic. He comes out singing a song that's kind of, Freddie sings it a little effeminate comparatively, but listen to Paul. After this. Sorry, it's hard to get, sometimes it's hard to get this thing. I got such a small little thing I gotta work with here.
I want to break free. I want to break free.
Break free!
I want to break free from your lies. You're so satisfied. I don't need you.
It's so different than Freddie, but it's cool. It's kind of creepy. It's like you feel like you're hearing Bad Company and Queen like kind of colliding worlds or something.
I've got to break free.
So good.
God knows I've got to break free.
Now, I sort of, again, I keep stopping this. I sort of get the feeling that it's more like a tribute to Freddie and not Queen. So there is that element of it. It's not Queen, and it's not even close to Queen. It's not even close to Freddie. It's a very different vibe. It's a macho, strutting, you know, rock and roll guy, you know, coming out. And so he's not trying to be Freddie, he's trying to be himself. He reminds me a lot, you know, when I saw And again, everyone, that's why I'm going to bring this up, because keep the sex word keeps coming up. When I saw Elton John, and I saw, what was his name? You gotta have George Michael. I saw George Michael come out and do the duet with Elton John, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And it was so masterfully done. And I mean, masterfully done. And he didn't come out and try to sound like Elton. He's also did a Queen song, you guys remember he did this. He didn't try to come out and sound like Freddie. He came out and sounded like himself, but he's so good, it's like he didn't care. Like, I'm me, you know what I mean? I'm George Michael and I'm gonna be George Michael and I do George Michael. He didn't come out selling his sexuality, and Elton didn't come out selling his sexuality. They just came out and played, and it was awesome, and they did awesome stuff. And in the same way, that's exactly what we're experiencing here. He's not coming out selling anybody anything, he's just coming out throwing down being a rock and roll guy, all right? So,
Hey, I was just a skinny lad, never knew no good from bad, but I knew life before I left my nursery. Left alone with big fat Fanny, she was such a naughty nanny. Evening woman, you made a bad boy out of me.
love that voice. Yeah.
I got mortgages on homes. I got stiffness in my bones.
I got stiffness in my bones. You know, instead of, he's got his thing, man, right?
Beauty queen in this locality. Oh, but I still got my pleasure. I still got my greatest treasure. Keep me woman, you done made a big man out of me.
Okay, now, we said, could the replacement singer step into music that was originally written for the original singer and pull it off, and did he contribute anything creatively significantly? Not from a songwriting standpoint, but from a personality and his own unique style standpoint. Abso-dang-lutely he did. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely. Take me home.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust, yeah.
Okay, now, we've also talked about, and I know this is going over time here, guys. If you don't want to click off, click off. But most of the time, a lot of times singers default to the audience to sing because they lose their voice. And Freddie didn't do that, actually. A lot of times he actually just got great audience participation. But remember, Adam didn't get anybody participating in anything, right? And he's getting everybody to participate, and he's not doing it because he lost his voice. He's doing it genuinely to get the audience to participate.
One bites the dust. Another one bites the dust, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
He's doing it, Freddie.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this thing called love, I just can't handle it. This thing.
Now, what did we see? Paul Rogers plays keyboards. Paul Rogers plays guitar. Freddie plays keyboards. Freddie plays guitar. I wasn't seeing Adam Lambert. I know he plays instruments, but not multi-instrumental in the same kind of way.
Hold up, I must get around to it. I ain't ready. Really
Flawless pitch. Flawless pitch.
there goes my baby.
Okay, I'm gonna move it on.
She knows
Here we go.
crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. Crazy, crazy love. Baby, now your struggle's all in vain. And won't you give you the moon and all the stars above? 'Cause I feel like making it. Feel like making it.
Now, how cool is it? Guys, think about this. How cool is it to have such command that your voice is as big as the band, you're controlling the band like Freddie, but that the audience also can cross-pollinate or cross over with your band that was so successful, Feel Like Making Love and some of the other songs that they have, that a Queen audience is singing Bad Company songs and crossing over where your backup band now is Queen singing your own stuff. You know what I mean? That's pretty stinking cool if you ask me.
Give it to me now.
For you youngins out there that don't know Bad Company, I'm introducing a little something to you.
I'm making love. I feel like making love.
Yeah.
Now to you. So do think you can stop me and spit in my eyes.
That's awesome.
So do think you can love me and leave me today.
Die!
Can't do this to me, baby. I just gotta get out. I just gotta get right out of here. We can fly, my friend. The show must go on. 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 I'll face it with a grin. I'm never giving in. Oh, with a show.
Badass.
My place, watching every move.
Watching every move on her face. She said, look, what's your game, baby?
On her face. She said, look, what's your game? Are you trying to put me in shame? I said, slow, baby. Don't go so fast. Don't you think that love can last? She said, love. Now you're trying to trick me in love. Give it to me. I'm not talking about tomorrow.
So good.
I've paid my dues.
Last one. Here you go, guys. This last one.
Time after time, I've done my sentence.
I've done my sentence, but committed no crime and bad mistakes. Lord, I've made a few. Yeah. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I know Paul. It's good stuff.
Committed no crime and bad mistakes.
That tone.
I've made a few. I've had my share of sand kicked in my face, but I've come through. We are the champions, my friend. Been singing with my band.
Okay, I don't know how this got back in the end. All right, so yeah, I don't know, guys. You guys decide. Of course, there's only one Freddie Mercury. There will probably only be one Freddie Mercury. And with the advent of video games and all the little things we do on our phones and filters and auto-tuning and stuff, maybe we'll never see another Freddie Mercury. But I will say that I don't think Adam Lambert is anywhere near the replacement for Freddie Mercury. Sorry, Adam. It's the way I feel. I think Mark Martel would have done a better job singing the band, but I don't know about his frontmanship of the band. I think Paul Rogers crushed it, but Paul Rogers is more like a tribute to Freddie, with Paul honoring him, coming in and sitting in for the band, than also being like Freddie Mercury. So I can understand why that didn't last, and I can understand why people didn't gravitate toward having him continue on with the band. You tell me your thoughts and comments. Put them in the comment section. Please post respectfully. God bless you guys. Definitely check out my next video, and peace out.